Alright, so we're going to try this air filter we talked about. So we essentially went in here and sanded that rubber. It was kind of hardened from age, so we sanded it with about some 80 grit sandpaper. Rough it up. Here's our silicone. We also, you can see we kind of sanded the edge of that as well. So this is going to fit something like this. About like that, yeah. And we're going to glue it in there. Let me show you what we bought for that. So we bought both of these. We got the gray and the black. Both of these are probably fine for this, so may just flip a coin. The black one will match, kind of blend in. This gray stuff I think is actually stronger, but I don't really think strength matters for this. But anyway, we're going to use one of these and take some alcohol, wipe these down to get the oils off, and then apply some RTV and stick it on the car and let it cure overnight. And then tomorrow we'll find out if this worked. Alright, well here's the fitment we're going for. As you can see, something like this. Yeah, I guess that'll be all the way down. So we haven't glued it yet. We kind of threw a zip tie to hold that silicone on the turbo. And this is pretty much what we're looking for. You can see this will fall off right now if I pull on it very much. But about to glue it, we decided to go with the gray. I just know this will work. It's not going to match the black, but man, this stuff is so strong, so we're going to use that. About to apply this and glue it together. Now, here we go. We put a light coat on there, just kind of get it to bond to that surface. Put a light coat here and pressed it in to get it to bond, and then did a little bit more on top to give it a little thickness. Now we're going to assemble, see what happens. Here we go. We got it glued in. So we kind of just ran a little bit of a bead around the outside to get a good seal, although it probably already sealed. It's definitely glued in there. So this gray RTV has about a 200 psi strength. So what that means is if you try to shear this and you got a square inch of area, you're gonna have to pull about 200 pounds of force to get it to tear. Now we probably got at least a ½ inch wide and going around a circumference of, let's just say, at least 4 inches. So, well, the diameter of 4 inches. So circumference would be pi times 4, that's roughly 12, times a half is 6. So we're looking at about 6 square inches of area that has gray RTV bonding those two parts together. So 6 square inches at 200 psi per square inch, that's going to be 1,200 pounds of force. So in theory, if you pulled on this straight and even, it'd take 1,200 pounds to pull that silicone off that air filter. So basically it's never going to fall off. Now, that's gluing the two together, but they also have to seal. So that's why I ran this little bead around the outside. Now it's not on the inside. You can see it kind of stops. Well, you can't see because the camera sucks, but down there eventually it stops because I can't get in there right now. But eventually I will. Once this dries, I'll take it off and I'll run a bead around the inside that I couldn't get to with it on the car. But I don't want to take it off the car because it fits right now. This well, I think it fits. The headlight's not installed, but I'll cry if when I put the headlight in it still doesn't fit. But yeah, I'm optimistic now. I read up on it. It looks like this adhesive is literally rated for silicone and rubber, and it's made of silicone rubber, so I think we're good. I think we found the right adhesive. And the good news is this was $6 at Walmart for a tube. Also, if you ever need to buy this stuff, it's cheaper at Walmart than it is at AutoZone for whatever reason. But yeah, I'll show this to you after it dries, but I'm expecting this is going to work. Alright guys, welcome back. So we glued this on the car yesterday, and it actually turned out pretty good. This stuff is strong like I expected. It doesn't budge. But that inside edge, so I went back and redid this. Now that I've taken it off the car, I have access to this inside edge. So we didn't have that before, so we glued that. And this inside part here, where you can see I built it up, there's a gap there as you'd expect. So we kind of filled that in, and what I'm thinking is once this cures, we may just leave it, but I might take a utility knife and just reach in there and kind of trim that a little bit. Kind of like this, and just kind of put a radius on that. But I don't think we really have to do that, so we'll see. But yeah, this looks like it's going to work out pretty good, and this will get us, essentially it cost us like $6 for that tube of RTV, and I already had everything else, so should be an affordable way to get a big air filter on the car. And we'll probably run this for a while, and I don't know, it might stay that way for a long time, but I do like running these bigger filters. This is something that a lot of turbo builds, I think it's like a miss. something that they kind of ignore. When you look at a turbo map, everything's in pressure ratio, and the assumption is always that you have 14.7 psi going in the turbo, and then you just figure out your boost and what your pressure ratio is. Well, that's the thing, is that's not always true. It's almost never true unless you're just running like a open turbo or a piece of wire mesh or something. If you have a filter on it, you're going to get a pressure drop. This particular filter, I've measured this against 2 others, and this is the best one, and this thing was dropping at 350 wheel. I was pulling this down to I want to say it was 90 kPa, so I was losing 10% of my air density trying to run through this filter. So if you think about that, doing a pressure ratio on a turbo, you could easily be 10% off on your calculations, and that's a lot. That's not, we're getting into double digits. So it is important to have a low restriction, and you can just imagine if this filter was smaller, you'd just have even more restriction. So this is something that we're going to measure. It's easy to do. We got that differential pressure gauge, so at some point we'll throw a little hose adapter or something inside of this, and we'll see what we're looking at, so we know. And we'll use that to determine should we change this, and what we're going to do on that.